Well, there we are. Let's talk about this now to Jonathan Sacerdoti, who's a journalist, broadcaster and campaigner against anti-Semitism. Jonathan, good to have you with us. Well, what did you make of these Whoopi Goldberg remarks? As we just heard, she's apologised.
It's quite extraordinary, isn't it, to think that somebody is given a platform on such a mainstream American TV show as The View could come out with such absolute nonsense. I mean, it's basically racist to say such a thing. And for the programme to use that platform in order to provide misinformation and miseducation is also outrageous. And I think it's worth just reminding ourselves, because clearly some people don't know anything about the Holocaust, that in 1935, the Nazi regime introduced two laws, the Reich Citizenship Law and the Law for the Protection of German Blood and German Honour. And these so-called Nuremberg Laws were there to put in place their ideas of race into law. And it's really like a dictionary definition of racism. The Nazis thought that the Germans were of the Aryan race and Jews were an inferior race. And the citizenship law stripped Jews of their German citizenship on the grounds that they were not of German blood, giving them no political rights. They couldn't be full citizens of Germany. And the German blood law prohibited what the Nazis thought of as mixed race marriages, mixing races. It banned future intermarriage and sexual relations between Jews and people of German or related blood. So really there is no, I think, more pertinent example of textbook racism than what the Nazis did to 6 million Jews who they killed during the Holocaust.
I just want to read a bit of the transcript of her appearance, because although she has apologised, this wasn't like a one-off remark. She said, it's not about race. The co-host of the programme then said, look, the Nazis said the Jews were a different race. She said, but it's not about race, it's about man's inhumanity to other men. Then the other co-host said, but it's about white supremacy. And then Whoopi Goldberg said, but you're missing the point. The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's about how people treat each other. But having said all of that, she has apologised. She says she stands corrected.
Well, it was about two groups of white people, she said. And I think that really actually revealed what the problem here is with her understanding, her flimsy understanding of racism. Simply put, she seems to think that racism only occurs to prejudice and judgments about other people based on the colour of their skin. When actually racism is far more than that. And I think that the current fashionable definition of racism that perhaps she's touting is the idea that it can only be something against black people or people of colour. I think that's obviously ridiculous, and the Holocaust is a perfect example of why it's ridiculous. It just doesn't stand up to any scrutiny. And simply put, it's not even about a group of people who are more fortunate or powerful persecuting a group who are below them or poorer or oppressed, as is also the case in much of this millennial sort of woke thinking. Because if we look at what happened during the Holocaust, we saw that Jews who were very well integrated part of German society, Jews who were academics and politicians, Jews who were really just as integrated into German society as anyone else, very quickly became the persecuted minority group based on their race. The Nazis were very clear it was based on race, just needed to have a Jewish grandparent in order for them to decide that you were impure. It wasn't about how you behaved religiously. It wasn't about your culture. It was purely passed down as they saw it through genetics, effectively. So I just think that Whoopi Goldberg really needs to do more than this apology. She went on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and she really dug in, actually, saying that this was about skin colour. It's not about skin colour. Jews were the victims of this horrific mass industrialised murder during the Holocaust. The View and Whoopi Goldberg need to do much better, and they should really dedicate time in their actual programme to some proper serious Holocaust education now, because that's really what's needed to counter this sort of idiocy and ignorance that she put on display there.
Jonathan, thank you so much. That's Jonathan Sacerdoti, broadcaster and campaigner against anti-Semitism. Good to have you on the programme on BBC News. Thank you very much for your time.